is one of the most famous people Sioux City has ever produced, a two-time Pulitzer Prize winner and one of America's earliest conservationists.
And you've probably never heard his name, J. Norwood Darling, better known as Ding Darling. He's the focus of today's hometown history. Ding is the name he gave himself, a contraction of his last name. And you can almost see the twinkle in his eye in this early photograph. To save money for college, he took a job as a reporter for the Sioux City Journal in 1900. But his ability to draw quickly changed his career path. His first cartoon was printed shortly afterwards. Ding had moved to Sioux City as a youngster, and as you see in later etchings, he developed a love of nature.
There were lots of cool places to walk along the Missouri River and the Big Sioux River and explore, up in what today is Stone Park and stuff.
In 1906, Darling was snatched up by the Des Moines Register-Leader, where his career blew up. His political cartoons were eventually printed in almost 150 papers across the U.S.
It's kind of hard to appreciate today how prominent the editorial cartoonist was for a newspaper in a day and age when that was your primary way of getting information about the outside world.
Darling won his first Pulitzer Prize for this 1924 cartoon called In the Good Old USA, showing how people from humble beginnings can work their way up. One panel depicting how Sioux Citian Frederick Peterson left home to become a highly respected neurologist with a hobby of helping poor children. And he helped Ding too.
He had, like a lot of people that work with their hands, he had a neuralgia in his elbow that threatened his career in the early 1920s, and this neurologist helped him.
His second Pulitzer Prize in 1943 skewered a federal government, generating massive amounts of paperwork during World War II. In 1934, President Franklin D. Roosevelt appointed Darling as chief of the newly formed U.S. Biological Survey, now U.S. Fish and Wildlife. That's where Darling designed the first federal duck stamp, a stamp waterfowl hunters must buy to hunt migratory birds, basically a license to hunt. For many years, Darling had a winter home in Captiva Island, Florida.
And it's just got tremendous bird populations. It's a real high water environment. And so his fish house is a stilt type house, and it's a cool place.
Thanks to Darling's efforts and donations of land by his island neighbors in 1945, a refuge for migratory birds on Sanibel Island was acquired by the federal government. By 1958, Ding Darling was seriously ill, and the last of his more than 11,000 editorial cartoons had a very simple message. By now, it's been wonderful knowing you. Darling died in 1962. The Islanders rallied to change the name of the refuge in his honor, the first national wildlife refuge ever named for a person. Now here's something to think about. Ding Darling drew editorial cartoons through Prohibition, the labor movement, 2 world wars, a depression, and the terms of 7 presidents. It's almost surprising that he only won 2 Pulitzer Prizes.